cooking in Carla's kitchen today. We're going to make a peach pie. You saw my Phyllo cup recipe. You know how much lighter that is. So I'm testing it tonight with a pie crust. I haven't done that before, and I thought it would be a good experiment. So this recipe is kind of all of an experiment. So if it turns out, you'll see it on my website. If it doesn't, I'll make some adjustments and then put what my adjustments are. Okay, so I started already. I put the 5 layers of phyllo dough on the bottom crust. And I've got that covered. The one thing working with phyllo dough is you want to keep it moist, keep it from drying out, so you need to keep it covered. So I already did a bunch of the peaches. What I like to do is boil them for like a minute. And if they're ripe, then I just put them in some cold water here in my sink. And if they're ripe, the peelings will just come off like this. And I got a bunch of ripe ones today. They're just really coming on right now, and so it's a great time to buy peaches. So then I'm just taking them, cutting them in half, pulling the pit out, just putting small pieces of the peaches in there. You'll see from my posting, I got this recipe from like 50 different posts on peach pies and just tried to figure out how I could do it and reduce the calories. So I've done a couple of things to reduce the calories, and so I'll find out if it still tastes just as great when I get done with it. So put the peaches in here, and then 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. Put that in there, and so while you're doing everything else, then make sure the pieces are all nice and even. So that's what your peaches will look like when you're done. What I did is I took some tapioca flour. That's what I'm using instead of regular flour, and reducing the sweetener also. So we'll see if that works. So 3 tablespoons of that, 1 tablespoon of the summer sweet. So if you were doing sugar, you'd probably use a ½ a cup. But since we're not, we're going to try to do this recipe without any sugar. Just a tablespoon of summer sweet. If I had the baking blend, I'd use a ½ a cup of that, but I don't have any right now. So I'm just going to use the regular summer sweet. Now I'm adding, let's see, ½ a teaspoon of cinnamon, ½ a teaspoon of nutmeg, just a little. I don't want that to overpower the peaches. The peaches should be really sweet themselves. So if you didn't have tapioca flour, you could just use regular flour. Just make sure you, put that in. Grab a spoon. Just put that in the recipe so you know what the calorie count is. And if you use regular sugar, obviously put that in so you know what the calorie count is. I'm really trying to see if I can reduce the calories in a peach pie and maintain the flavor. So then I sprinkle the rest of that on there. Mix it up really good, like that. Okay, so I'm going to uncover my phyllo dough that's already in a pie shell. Get this working area here clear because we're going to do the top pie crust. We need that for that. Okay, so we're going to pour the peaches and all the juice in there, fills it up nicely. That was 9 peaches that I used. And you can see I've got the crust kind of overlapping, and I'm going to cut that off and roll it up when I put the top on. So what I've got to do here now is work kind of fast because the phyllo dough is uncovered and we don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to take 2 more sheets of the phyllo dough across here, and just take, all we've got is a couple tablespoons of butter that we used on both the top and bottom. A lot of the recipes I looked at had butter in, put little bits of butter on top of the peaches. I'm not going to do that. I'm hoping that just the butter and the crust will be plenty, so I'm trying to keep, like I said, the calories down. So we get another 2 sheets of phyllo dough. I'm going to put them crosswise on here. Just putting the butter basically where the dough is going to meet. And one more sheet. Go this way, kind of an angle. And we're just going to put a little bit along the top. That will now be the top of the crust. Meantime, I've got my oven preheating at 425. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. I've never done this before, but it seemed like it would, you know. Okay, so what I thought I would do is take my scissors, you can use a knife, and just cut around about an inch away from this, because you've got a big, you know, some of the phyllo dough really hung over. Okay. Now, put this in daily burn after I get it completed and see what the calorie count is with the phyllo dough, without the sugar, see what I was able to reduce the calories to. Okay, so I pretty well got that. Trying to didn't quite get the bottom one as I went around on some of these. So now there's like an inch, what you would do with pie crust. An inch, and I'm just going to fold it under like that and see how it bakes up. Would think it would bake up nice and fluffy. Used a good phyllo crust too, and so the amount of calories it is divided by 8 pieces of pie. A little long. Come back over here and cut that off a little. I would think it would still end up being a pretty low calorie one you could have with your meal. Tonight I'm having a turkey spaghetti. I'm just going to build this in with that. So hopefully. Okay, it looks a little different than your regular pie crust, but I think it's going to work. So normally I'd put a little sugar on that. Maybe I could take a little bit of summer sweet. I don't want to sweeten it too much. That's just it. I think these are really good peaches. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bake it at 425 for about 15 minutes, then I'm going to reduce the temperature, cook it 350 the rest of the time, about 50 minutes, and if I have to, I'll put tin foil over it to keep it from getting too dark. So that's what it looks like. I'll come back and show you the finished product when it gets. Okay, just took the peach pie out of the oven. Looks good, so I'm going to let it cool for about an hour, and then I'll slice it and then show you a piece of the finished product.